My name is Mike Cook. I've been employed with Miller Truck Lines for almost 5 years, being December. My background is I came from another company where I worked for almost 12 years, and then this gentleman here hired me and have loved working here ever since.
I'm Jeff Duncan, Vice President of Operations, Flatbed, as well as Logistics and Brokerage. Been with Miller since 2008. Career background goes back to 1986 when I started for Tri-State Motor Transit, and I've worked through the industry since then. Love working for Miller. Look forward to being here for as long as they'll have me.
Well, currently I am the fleet manager for flatbed operations. My job is entailing, making sure that the driver's needs are met through the people that work under me, which is the driver managers. I also work with some customers directly, who I'm very excited, to bring them into Miller since I've been here and grown that part of our business. So as far as what I do handle some relations with our drivers and relations with our customers as well, which is kind of unique and different than what some of our other employees do, where they may handle just the operations side as far as our drivers and equipment only, and we got some that handle only customers. So that's what's exciting for me about what I do, is that I get to handle everything that Miller does in our flatbed division, from the driver's side all the way to a customer side, and I get to actually see the flow of the process from beginning to end, as far as initializing that contact with the customer and booking that freight and meeting their needs, and then of course passing that on to the driver. It's been a great relationship so far.
One moment we might be going to visit a customer trying to establish new business. Next minute we may be out in the yard helping Paul transfer a load for driver, making sure that everything flows with the driver managers and the drivers that we have, so that there's a right fit for the freight that we have and where somebody lives and things like that. Taking care of problems. If somebody's got an issue or a problem they're wanting to get taken care of, we'll try to get in there and sit down and talk about it. Booking freight, I have several customers that I deal with. Broker a lot of freight, handle the brokerage, dealing with our Houston terminal and trying to make sure everything's flowing there, and just the day-to-day operation, seeing what we need to do next.
Well, I think one of the things that was kind of interesting that I've never really dealt with before, the previous company I worked for, I did deal with some movements of over-dimensional loads, but it wasn't too long after I started here that I actually moved a military aircraft from South Carolina to Texas. A lot of trial and error, but once the driver had got it loaded and put on our trailer, he sent me pictures, and it was pretty exciting. And I learned a lot through that process, because it was a super load, so there was a lot of escorts required and a lot of routing that had to be predetermined before we could even move this large military plane. But the driver was really excited, because he never done anything that big before, and it was, even though it was a learning process, that was probably, as far as moving freight for Miller Truck Lines, it was scary, it was new, it was exciting, and I feel comfortable that if it ever came up again, that I wouldn't have any problem handling it. Since then, through a lot of my customers, I've been able to contract and move very large pieces of equipment through different manufacturers like air coolers and burner parts and things of that nature. And it's been very profitable for not only Miller, but for the drivers as well. I don't see this industry slowing down as far as the gas and oil industry, which we're heavily involved in right now. And I can only see the potential, growing from this point on. So it seems like that, as far as the employees that we have here, the drivers that we have here, the equipment that we have, and the current customer base that we have, that it all seems like it works, pretty well, and has been very profitable. So, as far as on a personal thing, one thing that really impressed me about coming to work here at Miller is that I remember sitting down and meeting with the president of our company, Bobby Miller, and seemed like he was a really great guy, a family-oriented guy, and that's what I loved, and that's what attracted me to come work here. And what was interesting is that my very first week that I was here, we were having an issue of trying to get to a customer to pick up a load, and Bobby Miller just said, "I'll go get it. Where do I need to go?" And he jumped in a truck and went over there and picked up the load for the customer. Now, I've never had that happen before from any executive staff, from any trucking company that I've ever worked for of this size. Sure, you know, we're talking a company that has over 500 trucks in his fleet, and he's willing to jump in a truck and go get it done. So that's one thing that draws me, you know, to Miller and keeps me here, is because, you know, people from the top are willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done.
I just reiterate that as well. I think what I like the most about it is it's kind of a family-oriented type of business. Everybody that walks in, you know, it's open door policy. Everybody knows each other by names. You know, if you don't, you know, somebody's going to say, "Well, that's old John. You know, he does such and such," and then you'll remember that name. You put it with a face. We don't have a lot of people coming in and out. I mean, it's the same people, and it just feels more comfortable, like a family. I've got the same story that Mike does. You know, the very first load that I booked with Miller, with a customer that I was trying to bring with me from my previous employer, and Bobby was the first guy to pick it up. He actually went over and picked up the load, and we met with him at lunchtime to solidify a deal with him, and then by 1 o'clock that afternoon, Bobby was over picking up the first load for him. So that's kind of a neat deal. But yeah, the one thing about Miller that I've always liked is once we communicate what we're going to do with the customer, our execution time is very quick. And there's been many times where we've been sitting in a customer's office telling them what we can and can't do for them, and our drivers have actually showed up for their first load. And we've been very proud, very professional drivers. Been very, very fortunate there to where your very first load, your very first impression with the customer has been one of our professional drivers, and they just do a great job.
Yeah, they do.